Welcome to the Four Wards Podcast. Hey, what's up? It's Eric Bra, voice of Draven, Jerks, and Vel'Koz. And you're listening to the Four Wards Podcast, here to help you move forward in League.
Oh, man. See, I left the video up that whole time so people could finally get an idea of what Doom does. When he thinks no one else can see him.
Nice. Well done, buddy. Well done.
Just dancing there like an idiot. We love you.
Do.
Guys, welcome everybody. This is the Four Wards Podcast here, back again. Finally. Oh, long week, right?
Yeah.
Very much so.
Very long.
All right. My name is Haberdashing, and I am joined by Mr. Aaron Doomspikinator.
What's going on?
Mr. Steve Frostbite.
Hello.
And Mr. Richard this is embarrassing. Deadlock Gray.
Deadlock Gray.
Sorry, I had it right there. I couldn't find it on the sheet.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, well, yeah, great to have everybody here.
Thanks. Yeah. Great to be here. And thank you so much. So I'll kind
No, go
of
ahead.
hop into this. So Deadlock Gray, the reason we're having Deadlock on the show, so our charity stream that we had last week went super duper well. And part of the reason for the awesome, great success was thank you to Deadlock Gray. He donated a very significant amount of money and really appreciate it. Really made all the games fun and the a lot of great stuff for charity. So I really appreciate it personally. So extended an arm out and wanted him to join us on the show. So welcome to the show, Deadlock, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a bronze force scrub.
You're
I've been paying attention to the Tree Force Network for I don't know, around a year or so. Just listening to Pone rant and the Claude's horrible. It's been fun. So I was glad to have the opportunity to give back. I mean, it was for a good cause anyway, so I figured why not? It was a good time to see y'all be drunk and stupid. So
That we were.
Yeah, that we were. And yeah, he joined us in the last game. We invited him in on the last game where he forced us all to start with 4 frozen mallets, Pone's favorite item.
If the first frozen mallet doesn't do it, the answer is to build more frozen mallets.
More frozen mallets. Probably the most solid advice we've ever given on this show. So.
Obviously.
So thanks for joining us, man. We'll hop into the news real quick here.
Yeah. So everybody, you can join us Saturday and Sunday at the 5-3 Arena in Cincinnati. What?
Fifth Third Arena.
Fifth Third?
Yes.
Yeah, Fifth Third.
Okay. The Fifth Third Arena in Cincinnati for the all-mid event, the GG Invitational. We will be having a booth there and giving away an episode of the Champion Select podcast. So if you haven't subscribed to that yet, first, why? And second, I mean, you're getting a free one anyway, so you'll know more of what you're getting into. But trust me, you should be listening to that already. Also, we'll be giving out buttons and a chance to record an intro for the podcast to win $25 in RP. Plus a live podcast, Hearthstone, and live D&D with LeShock from the T-Force RPG community. I'm writing the characters for those right now.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, there's been some funny ones hinted. Like, I don't know if it's going to be there, but Long John Cena.
Out of nowhere! Sneak attack with a rogue.
Yeah, PSA to anyone who's listening to the audio. This is this coming Saturday, and we typically release later in the weekends. So if you're joining us live, there's still time to act. And if you're joining us and still listening, rip.
All right.
Well, actually, no, because it's going Saturday and Sunday, so
True.
you can still go on Sunday.
If you happen to be in the Cincinnati area and are just hearing about it now,
Act now.
Act now.
well, I got nothing going out. And
What else we got, Ever?
Yeah, anyways, we're gonna keep saying Patreon every week until everyone ever subscribes to us on Patreon, because you guys are part of what makes this show and all the other shows in the Trinity Force Network so great. We're making a lot of improvements right now. God, can't wait for some of this stuff to go
you guys
live.
are the reason we're going to be able to go to All Mid. You guys are the reason we can do a live podcast there. You guys are the reason that we can do the $25 a piece giveaway. You guys are the reason that we're probably going to be at PAX and be at a lot of other stuff. So I mean, you guys are the reason this network is growing. So thank you.
Yeah, and last, we have another stream coming up. The Extra Life stream is going on next month, bit.ly/TForce Kids to donate.
Oh, it is next month.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, it's October already.
Yes.
My brain.
So, that's going to be November 7th. It's going to be a 24-hour stream starting at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yep. Eastern Daylight Time. And it's going to be a good time. We're going to have League. We're going to have Hearthstone. We're going to have some Diablo. We're going to have Cards Against Humanity. We're going to have, a lot of stuff. A lot
of stupid shit last year.
Yeah, so it's going to be fun. I'm organizing it this year due to the last charity stream going well. So I'm going to organize it, and we're going to get everyone involved here. And
we
have
should
lots
definitely
of fun
play Viscera Cleanup Detail.
Sure. Yeah, if you want to take that, that's you, man.
Okay.
So it's the same setup as where if I were to donate, I could get you guys to build Frozen Mallet or something.
I have a feeling that we might see
Probably.
more Frozen ballots. I don't know why.
If there's anything someone listening to the podcast should realize by now, we will do anything for money.
Yes.
And I mean anything.
And especially if it's for a good cause. We'll do less if it's just for us, but we'll do more if it's for a good cause. I mean, Shira talking like a pirate and me being Batman, everything.
I think I'm a good cause, so...
Yeah, you're a pretty decent cause. Love you.
Let's get into the podcast here, guys. So, trinket tip this week. Since the World is finally kicking off here, we realized...
World's hype!
Yeah. Bring back the West! Anyways, we realized not everyone is up to date with all the LCS lingo. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about some of the terms you hear the casters say, and you may have no idea what they mean. Stuff
But
like...
this happens in solo queue as well. Like, people will use these terms, and you're just kind of like, wait, what do these even mean?
So, starting off, the Fnatic bush. That is the bush if you're... I'm going to try to spell it out here. If you're playing on blue side, it's in the... There's one on the top lane. As you go past the inner turret, it's right to the... It's on the left side. That little tiny bush that's next to the wall. That's on all sides. There's 4 of them on the map.
Okay.
It's in front of the red buff, so the red golem is basically looking at...
No, wait.
Well, that
is
alternates depending on which side you're on.
Yeah, I'm talking on that one.
Yeah, on the bottom side.
So if I'm on the blue side, that little bush that's next to the turret in top lane?
Yep.
Okay,
the
so
inner
that's...
turret, not the outer
So
turret.
it's called the Fnatic bush because I'm guessing people sneak in there and...
Yeah, that goes way
Yesterday
back
up.
to Season 1.
Yeah. Basically, if you go and face check that bush, you can guarantee that there is a yellow star waiting to pounce on your face.
Yep.
Who is a support on the team Fnatic?
Yes. Then you have the Scar Award.
Timer, and I just put all my turrets in that bush, and then when people just
God.
walk up, nobody wards in
You
bronze.
dick. You dick.
Just as I was starting to like you, Deadlock.
A wise choice.
Yeah. That's
Scar
mean.
Award is a good one because it
Infamously hard ward placement.
it's easy to feel like a failure when you make this infamously hard ward placement, and it's very... If you're a Blitzcrank main, you probably feel it the most because it's probably the most beneficial on Blitzcrank at level 1. If you think of the way the map Summoner's Rift is laid out, I'll once again use the blue side or the lower left side. If you were to go near the tri-brush in bottom lane, if you're in that bush, you can actually ward it from within the dragon pit. So you could go into the dragon pit, and then you can ward over the dragon pit into the tri-brush. Now, it's extremely tricky to pull off because if you try and ward it improperly, you actually ward right next to the bush, and then you end up getting vision of pretty much nothing, and then you feel like an idiot because you just blew a ward on nothing.
It's a really hard thing to ward.
I know people that like take the enhanced like ward range mastery just for that bush specifically.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth it. I don't know. Okay, would it be worth it?
I mean, on Blitzcrank it might. I don't know.
Yeah, if you can net a kill early on, sure, why not? So next one coming up here, we may see now that Shen is back in the LCS. It's called a submarine. This was prominent a lot last season when you had more Evelyns and Twitches. It's where you have a Shen plus an invisible champion. The Shen starts ulting onto the invisible champion while they're still invisible, and and they're able to two-man sort of come up behind the enemy team and just surprise, motherfucker. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean that's exactly, and that's why it's called submarine. You just kind of come out of nowhere and come up on someone and wreck their face.
Why do they still call it a submarine then? Like, it should just be the John Cena now.
Yeah.
RKO out of nowhere.
I feel like that's like if a Shen ults onto an ulting Pantheon and you both land at the same time. That's like a John Cena.
Yeah.
We've still got a few more to get through here, so let's keep going.
The Mad Life. Mad Life is a infamous player who basically he hits every single skill shot ever. All of them. All of the skill shots he hits. He's especially known for hitting his thresh hooks
and blitz
and blitz grabs.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're just hitting hook after hook, or power fist after power fist,
or like if you're like catch somebody like as they're flashing and like still manage to like hook them where they were gonna flash or something like that, might be called a Mad Life.
That is a Mad Life play.
Yeah. So I'm gonna skip that one because that's I don't the next one.
Well, it's made popular by pro players. It's
sure,
just
but it's easy enough to understand.
Yeah, headbutt pulverize. So on Alistar, one thing about his abilities a lot of people don't know or maybe don't necessarily have it down, but if you time it exactly right, if you're headbutting at an enemy and then hit your pulverize at the right time, you'll actually, as you land, instead of knocking them back, you'll do the knock up of the pulverize. So it's basically kind of the equivalent of being able to flash and then do your pulverize to knock someone in the air, except you're not using your flash, you're just using your headbutt cooldown. So pretty neat trick.
A lot of people like to call it like a Malphite ult at level 2 if it's done properly.
Yeah. So we're gonna keep trucking here. Xpeke. If you were to say you were Xpecking someone, it's kind of to backdoor them. And this goes back to, I think, Season 2 or whatever, where Xpeke won the game
with
Kassadin by rift walking over the base wall, and while everyone else is out, like by Baron, and ended up just taking down the Nexus. So,
it's one of the craziest endings to a game ever. Like this Olaf is like chucking axes at him, and like he's got like no health whatsoever, and like he's just rift walking all around the Nexus, and like Jess manages to kill the Nexus before he dies. And so when you see somebody who just like all ins the enemy Nexus and just tries to solo kill it, it's often called an Xpeke.
Yeah. So, but it's kind of now just been generalized to anyone backdooring, especially in solo queue.
Yes.
Next
the
one.
The Insec.
Also a really common solo queue term. This one goes back to another famous jungler who played Lee Sin and started this trend of warding in front of a champion, jumping to that ward, then kicking them backwards the other way. And he just did it so smooth and did it so well that that play just became known as an Insec. So if you ever see a Lee Sin on your team, put down a ward, 2 seconds later try to jump to it, flash, and then just give up. He's trying to do an insect.
Yeah. It's really, really effective in certain situations, and it's really impactful in pro play. It's just it's a tricky thing to execute in practice because you need to be able to get behind them and then kick them back into your team.
You know, there's kind of a cheap way of doing it that I saw online recently that looked really fun, which is you run a Scion Lee Sin bottom lane duo, and you do the Scion shout. Lee Sin cues the minion, then Scion does the shout to throw them like through the enemy and slow them, and then Lee Sin cues to the minion and then kicks them back into Scion, who is charging his Q.
All right, we've got a few more to get through here, and this is just the trinket tip. So say we just like run through the rest of them really quick.
Yeah,
all right,
go ahead.
All right, a Juggernaut is a team composition built around making Kog'Maw, who is a very powerful hyper carry, but very vulnerable. It's building a team composition around protecting him and then having him be the key source of damage and major threat for your team.
Shields are the main thing. Like Lulu and Shen, you'll almost always see in these comps, or like Lulu and Braum.
You skipped the Shurima Shuffle.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe I missed that one, because that one basically is an NSEC. Shurima Shuffle is the same concept of displacing an enemy team member into your team by dashing behind them. It's only, instead of doing it with Lee Sin, you're doing it with Azir.
Yep.
And his ultimate. Old names that are still commonly reused. Two that are very close to my heart. Spray and Pray is often used for Twitch's ultimate. That's what I still call it.
I forgot that they renamed it.
It's called Rat-a-tat-tat.
Oh,
they
God.
should have kept it Spray and Pray.
And Shirelias, if you hear somebody say pop Shirelias, they're referring to Talisman of Ascension's active.
It may also be used for the other item.
Righteous Glory.
Righteous Glory.
Wombo Combo. We covered this in the Supersode acronym section, and it's not necessarily LCS specific, but it's a really important team fight mechanic where you just try and cluster a bunch of abilities, CC, or burst into one combo. So, like, a common example is if you see a Malphite that were to like ult 4 people into the enemy team, and then maybe like a Yasuo were to like come in on top of it, and an Orianna knocks them out. Like, it's doing a lot of AoE in a big combo all at once.
Yeah,
that
chain CC and damage also applies to that.
Yep.
And its origin is from Super Smash Brothers. There's a video you can see online where
you just Google Wombo Combo. It's the first thing that comes up. I love it.
Faker is pretty much like the most famous player.
The god of mid lane.
League of Legends, often considered a god. He is the mid laner for SK Telecom, and he's a world champion, and he's according to Riot's ranking for this season, he's listed as the #1 player going into the Worlds this season. So if you ever hear somebody says, like, you know, that person's like basically Faker or comparing to Faker, Faker is just a really, really, really good player, arguably the best. And then lastly, if you hear somebody chanting TSM, TSM, and you're like, I have no idea what the hell this is, it's a team in North America with a gigantic fan base. It stands for Team Solo Mid.
Yes.
But yeah, like, even if they're not playing, people will just start chanting TSM. I love it. Okay, so let's move on here. Our item focus this week is going to be on Titanic Hydra, another one of the newer items that was introduced with the Juggernaut rework. So let's talk about that here. It has 400 health, 50 attack damage, 100% base health generation. And its unique passive is Cleave. Basic attacks deal 5 plus 1% of maximum health, bonus on hit physical damage. Additionally, basic attacks also deal 40 plus 2.5% maximum health, physical damage, and a cone to units behind the target. It's active is called Crescent. On your next basic attack, Cleave's damage to all targets is increased by 40 plus 10% of your maximum health, and has a larger cone. So it builds out a Tiamat and a Giant's Belt. So it's the tankier alternative to building Ravenous Hydra. The effects are very similar, except it scales off of more of your health than it does AD.
Yeah, I mean, when Ravenous Hydra and Titanic Hydra, the actives look very similar. You might be confused if you see it, but Ravenous is more lifesteal, and Titanic gives you health. So that's the primary distinction. So what are some champions that are Titanic Hydra is good on, and why does it work with their kit?
Scion.
Yeah, I mean, it really is specifically for people who would not otherwise build more damage, because I mean you're already getting 50 attack damage at that point. It can really be a toss up between that and Ravenous Hydra for certain people. It really is that's the only damage item you're going for, really.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be stacking health anyways, because it does damage based on your own health, is why it's really nice. And it gives you such a monstrous amount of health, 400 health, which is nice. That if you're stacking health items anyways, maybe throw the Randuins on there, or Spirit Visage, or Warmogs, or something like that. You're going to hit hard with this item, surprisingly hard, even with just having like 1 or 2 damage items. Like it pairs nice with like a Black Cleaver. And, put it on a Scion, on a Olaf, on a Wukong. You're going to see it mostly on top laners, but you'll see it on some junglers. Sometimes you'll see it on like a Cinder Hulk. A lot of Cinder Hulk champs.
I think Haber said it well.
We'll bring up Black Cleaver. I don't mean it should be like the only AD item that you build, but yeah.
I think Haber said it well when it's like a lot of people just need like one damage item or like one thing that kind of works for them, and then they have to prioritize tanky stats. And a lot of those champions are these big bruiser tanks that don't really need a lot of lifesteal as much as they need defensive stats. And this allows them an option to still get that cleave active and that wave clear pushing power and a little bit of damage, but actually get to tank stats quicker.
That's the main thing about Titanic Hydra. It really is to help pushing a lane, to give you that extra ability to put pressure on the top lane while you're still holding on to your teleport. Because, I mean, there's some champions that just don't have a whole lot innate ability to quickly take down a wave to keep it moving, like Shen.
And as a clarification for those who don't know, with both Titanic Hydra and Ravenous Hydra, these are only for melee champs if you want to use that pushing power.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of tankier top laners that would build Ravenous Hydra and stuff. The only problem with it was that they weren't getting a ton of benefit out of the lifesteal. And they were building like all tank otherwise, so their damage really fell off late game. And this is kind of like a compromise. It's an item that's not as strong maybe early, but it's stronger for them late because it scales off of their HP. So them building tankier just means they're gonna hit harder.
Yeah, I mean,
so
people used to just sit on Tiamat, like sometimes Darius or Renekton.
Renekton
would definitely just sit on Tiamat because it wasn't worth the extra 1,400 gold to build up to the Ravenous Hydra. But this is another good alternative. It really is just, do you want health or do you want lifesteal? If you're building more AD, that extra lifesteal will eventually outpace the extra health you're getting from Titanic Hydra as far as defensive stats with the HP regen that you're getting from lifesteal. But it really is, Trinity, you can build Ravenous.
Jax. You wouldn't usually build it on him as much.
But I can see that. So, anything else you guys want to talk about that?
Fiora.
Okay.
I think it's time to get into the main topic.
Yeah, let's do that. So our main topic this week is peeling. That's what the topic is, person in chat, if you were wondering. I'm not You don't have to call this the title here, Doom, but I called it
I do.
Podcasts
No,
Are
I
Like
like it.
Onions.
I do like it. I do like it.
So yeah,
God,
go
so-
ahead. Go.
So most importantly, let's get our expert on peeling here. Deadlock, what is peeling?
Okay, so you want a tank to come in and take the heat off of your squishies. So basically, they go in, get the attention of the enemies while the people that are in danger run away. Am I close?
That is a form of peeling.
I think of like this image that you often see in cartoons and movies and things, where everyone just piles on top of one dude to try and like beat up on somebody, and then like people step and they're like, whoa, 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 and then they like peel the people off of him that are all like piled on top. It's a similar
think of a
concept in
banana.
League. Like
Mhm.
well, the banana works too, where people
Sadly,
try and
Soraka
get on
cannot
top of
peel.
someone, and then you just
I
peel
was
them
gonna
off.
make a joke, but then I just thought, no, I'm better than that. Just went right
I'm
for it.
not.
I don't think there's ever been a discussion of peeling like without mentioning Soraka and her bananas. Doom is in agony. I don't know what's going on over on his end.
Like you
sorry.
have made worse puns.
Yes,
That wasn't even a pun.
No, it was just a really bad joke. Sorry, it just hurt my heart there for a while. Having palpitations. So,
You should probably eat a few bananas then.
oh Jesus,
Not too much.
BRB.
Then you will be having palpitations.
So peel is as we said, it's about somebody is diving onto a key target, and then somebody steps in to peel that person who's diving off of the priority or valued target. So a common example, I'll just throw one out there. A Xin Zhao often likes to dive onto a Jinx or an AD carry. If you're playing someone like Thresh, if you get in and you flay him back or you hook him, then the act of it is peeling him off of the AD carry so the AD carry can reposition and then go back to auto attacking.
Yeah, it's basically saying no, get off them. No.
I think the
Ghana
champion
ultis are really good.
Yeah, Morgana's a good example. I think the most iconic example in League of Legends is Braum, because his entire kit is kind of based
peeling.
around this. When you think about what his W is.
Well, a lot of people think hard to gauge with Leona.
True.
The good Leona players are the ones who know how to not only play offensively with Leona, but defensively.
Yeah, and that's definitely something we're gonna have to talk about in this episode. But I think so. We just named a bunch of supports here, but whose job is it to peel in a fight, and when does it? What makes somebody a peeler?
It's usually going to be
What
one
makes
of your
them appealing?
Oh God!
You saw it coming. Deadlock saw it coming.
All right.
Deadlock's got this grin.
I saw him. He was no, please no.
It's one of those it's usually champs who are tankier. It's your bruisers, it's your tanks, it's usually like a top or a jungler or a support. Someone who can take a little bit of a beating, or someone who has like a nice amount of CC, usually like hard CC built into their kit. There are some ADCs who can peel for themselves or even peel for others. But a lot of times it's going to be people who can take a hit and have some CC.
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it, the crowd control aspect. I think a lot, while it's completely true that most of the people who play the role or most commonly thought of it are often tanks, sometimes they're supportive champions, a lot of characters can actually peel quite effectively given the circumstances. I know in our team fight episode we talked about this a lot, where we mentioned how even someone like a Lux or a Twisted Fate could peel given the situation. But really it's about being able to look at the situation, recognize who on my team is valued. Oftentimes it's a Fed 80 carry. And then it's saying, okay, how am I going to keep this person alive? And as long as you've got some form of crowd control or some way to punish somebody for diving, then you can effectively peel for your team.
Peeling is all about saving your crowd control for the right moment. Like not blowing it just because it's off cooldown, but waiting for the right moment that it's like, okay, if I do this here, it's going to be very impactful. It's going to be more impactful than just putting a little bit of damage down.
Mm-hmm.
Sense, and Frost has looked at one of my replays, and he saw that when I was playing Jinx, I throw down my traps aggressively, and he says, "You don't do that. You don't ever do that."
Mm-hmm.
And I found out through playing a few games, the reasons why you do that is because when somebody comes to peel for you as Jinx, then they're in trouble because they're in the middle of a whole bunch of teams. You can throw down your traps, and then they can get away after you're already safe. So yeah, it's definitely won me quite a few games after running that.
Yeah, it's
That's
huge,
awesome.
especially on a champion like Jinx, because she doesn't have a get out of jail free card mechanism. Being able to leverage her traps as a sort of self peeling mechanism, where it's okay, the enemy Xin Zhao is going to dive me, but I'll still have these traps set up so that way he's going to get locked down when he tries to go in on me.
Sorry, I just blanked out. I was just thinking about a banana with a self-peeling mechanism.
Oh my god,
Like
that
that's the
sounds
first
amazing.
thing that popped, or an orange, especially an orange. That'd be super useful. But I mean,
would.
Is it really that difficult though?
I know,
it's,
right?
It's not difficult, but I mean, it would be whatever.
I have a confession to make. Bananas
First world problems.
are probably my favorite.
It would be
fruit.
really. Sorry.
And it's the reason why bananas are my favorite fruit isn't because I think they're the best tasting, but because
they're phallic.
I could just go and grab it and then eat it after peeling it. There's no like chopping them up. There's no any of that. No, I just peel the banana and I eat it and I'm
it
done.
would probably be the most useful for garlic.
I like bananas mostly because I run a lot and potassium is great for preventing cramps.
All you need is pickle juice.
I'd rather have AIDS than eat pickles.
Wow. That's pretty extreme. I don't know about that, but let's get back. We talked before. We said Leona. As far as learning when to peel, there's never any one champion that decides they have to peel or they can never peel. It really is deciding what the priority is, your win condition that we talk a lot about.
Exactly.
So, I mean, say you're Darius, right? You want to go all Dunk Master on him, but maybe you didn't have the best time in lane while your Jinx or your Kog'Maw in bottom lane has just been totally crushing it. Your win condition for that fight isn't that you get a 5-man, you get a pentakill. You know, it really, the most practical way for you to win that game or that team fight is to keep as many people off of the Jinx or the Kog'Maw or whoever it is as possible.
Is to stand directly on top of the Kog'Maw and then use your app.
People.
Yeah. I played a lot.
Don't ever do that.
I played a lot of Twisted Fate this season, and I honestly could say that like a huge number of the team fights I've won were just gold carding the people that would dive my 80 carry. And it's amazing what, like, just essentially, you're winning by denying the enemy team's win condition. Like, they want to dive your 80 carry, and you're just saying, no, that's not going to happen. And we say 80 carry, but it's not necessarily your 80 carry. It's whoever the priority person on your team is.
Right. So, like, I'm going along, and I have Deadlock, and he's playing Jinx, playing his favorite Jinx. And he's going along, and they've got Zed. And I see that Zed incoming, and I want to make sure that I can keep him off and say I'm, like, my favorite peeling champ, Maokai. The main thing I want to do is ensure that as soon as he starts to get close, that he never gets in range to use his ult. Because I know that if he's able to pull off a successful ult onto him, he's probably gonna die. But if I can just keep him outside and allow Deadlock to either A, get away, or B, just sit at range and lay down damage on him, I know that we're going to turn out on the positive of that fight, and getting my AD carry of that kill is going to help us as a whole, because now you've got an AD carry who is more useful and stronger than like a fed, assassin a lot of times. So
that kind of situation, just kind of off of the main topic, but I'm curious about in that area. As Zed did ult me as the AD carry, I know that with Zed during Champ Select, did I just take cleanse?
Not really, because cleanse is used to remove crowd control, and I actually don't think cleanse works on Zedult because it's
Zedult is a debuff, so
Yeah.
no, it does not work. You want to rush a Quicksilver Sash,
Not like rush.
not
Yeah,
rush,
not
but
rush.
you want to get it fairly early. By the time you're getting into team fights, so maybe like 3-4 items, you want to have it.
Usually, like, it depends. Like, if you're getting into a lot of team fights before you've finished your attack speed item, I definitely finish the Zeal, and then get QSS before you finish, like, your Phantom Dancer. But I mean, it really is up to your own discretion.
How cleanse worked at all. Like, I just recently, like, when I went up against Mouse, I took cleanse and it didn't work. So I was like, what is this summoner actually supposed to be doing for me at this point?
It's definitely something that a lot of people get confused about, and I think a lot of people run it against Malzahar and Warwick and think they have a get out of jail free card, and it's not that simple. Cleanse works against CC, but it does not work against suppressions. And I think the reason they do that is because it would probably be too good to just have that on a summoner spell to completely negate somebody's kit. So if cleanse can work against somebody like Twisted Fate who has a stun, you can cleanse the stun. But if it's somebody like a Warwick, you're gonna have to invest in the Quicksilver Sash.
And actually, that's a really good way to kind of talk about like self-peeling, because a lot of people don't think about the aspect of self-peeling. And if you're pinging in solo queue, especially in lower elos, one of the problems a lot of people run into is you have someone who's a tank who should be able to peel for you, keep people off of your face. You can't really rely on them that much because it is solo queue. So one of the best things that you can do is look at the win conditions for yourself. And one of the win conditions for yourself is like an AD carry is, how do I keep people off me? And part of that is positioning, but also looking at items, like looking at Quicksilver Sash or looking at your summoner abilities going into the match, looking into your cleanse, looking at your abilities, like even say like you were saying with Jinx, like with the traps, waiting to throw down your traps at the right moment so that enemies walk into those and you can still skirt away. Those are all things you have to take into account. So you're Tristana. Tristana is one of the best peeling ADCs in the game, because you can just jump away using a rocket jumper. You can just use your ult and just boom, knock them away.
Yeah. Especially from like the AD carry perspective, it's almost an art trying to get people to help peel for you. Because like Doom said, it's really hard to rely on any one person to help you. But I mean, just remember, it never helps to tell someone what to do. And you really should be trying to include them as much as possible. So never just say like, I need help, I need someone to peel for me. You want to try to involve them. Like, we as a team, if we want to win, we'll have a lot better chance if I'm alive for more of the fight. So can someone help peel for me? Quick communication.
All right, I feel like I gotta chime in here, and I think I have done a similar rant in the past, but like this one always gets to me, and it's 80 carries, and they're like expecting everyone to peel for them, and it's not actually how you want to approach the game. What Doom said is right. You want to be able to look at the threats on the enemy team and recognize what you're gonna need to save your abilities for, like the Jinx trap example. Okay. this person's going to dive me, and when he does, I want to make sure I have my traps up. I'm playing Tristana. I don't want to waste my ult in this scenario because so-and-so might dive me. Things like that are things to keep in mind, but the most important thing is positioning yourself as an AD carry as such that you don't need a huge amount of peel in order to be effective. Mm-hmm. So if you're staying in the back line and you've got in your position behind the front line and you're positioned in such a way that it's hard for people to dive on top of you, then you actually don't need too much crazy intervention from your teammates if you're positioning properly. You might have to stay out of the fight for an extra 2 seconds and wait for a CC, but then after that you can go in. There's a lot of people in lower levels who just think everything's going to be handed to them on a silver platter, and really it's about playing the best that you can, and then, you know, your teammates should be working to peel for you when appropriate, but you can't just expect that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Bro, I walked melee range of the Darius. Why didn't you peel for me, man? What the hell?
Especially when it comes to playing AD carry, a lot of your positioning is dictated by whether your flash is up or not.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's a really quick thing to check before you go into a team fight. Make sure you have that get out of jail free card, and if you don't, think about where you need to position yourself, so that you don't need it exactly. I know we're kind of getting away from the peeling topic, but I thought I should throw that in there.
No.
Yeah, I know, but it's something that there's never been a conversation about peeling where there isn't somebody who's wanting, like, I never get any peel in my elo, or solo queue is just so toxic, whatever. But you should not be playing with the expectation that everyone's going to peel for you. Nope. You're going to play the best positioning game you can, but it's if you're on the team with that person, if that person's doing well, you should prioritize peeling him if you want to win the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And kind of like Faraz said before, if you're the one that's getting focused, you need to identify sort of the order or what the biggest threats are coming at you. Specifically abilities that need to be up for the enemy team. Like if they have a Fizz on the enemy team, know that shark is going to be coming for you every damn time. If there's a Vigar on the enemy team, know you need to wait for the wall to come down before you can engage. Big CC, big damage abilities, always be tracking those to know what those threats are.
I think a good example, I want to take this back to peeling now, and I think Doom hit on a really good point about saving crowd control earlier, and I think a classic example is Katarina. Because Katarina's entire kit can pretty much be shut down with really good peel and really good CC. She's all about jumping into a fight, and if she could get a full channel on her ultimate every time, she's probably the most overpowered champion in the game. But it's really tricky to do that if the enemy team responds appropriately. So instead of being that Warwick that says, hey guys, I found somebody out, let's go pounce on him, if you recognize the enemy Katarina as the threat, maybe save your key CC like a suppression for the one that's actually the threat on the enemy team.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes you just have to know when you gotta lock someone down. You know, peeling is not saying, hey, just every time you see this person, blow your CC on them, but knowing when to use it too. You know, if I see, once again, favorite peeler that I play is Maokai. I see a Riven trying to dive at my carries. You better believe that as soon as they start to use their broken wings to jump towards them, that's when I'm going to use my Twisted Advance, because then it's going to stop them in their tracks. And then when they come out of that bind, I'm going to position myself between them and my carry, and I'm going to use my Arcane Smash to knock them back again. And I'm just going to keep keeping them back and keeping them away so that, you know, they're not going to ever get close to my carries.
And I think that one of the toughest things about peeling and understanding the value of peeling comes with a bit of game knowledge. We mentioned Leona earlier. Leona is classically viewed as somebody who solar flares the enemy team, dives in, locks someone down forever, and then it's like, come on guys, let's go kill everyone. And she can very well do that in a lot of situations. But if you envision yourself in a game where you're playing Leona and your team for the most part is doing well, if Master Yi just got a triple kill in the last team fight, your win condition is not to go ham and solar flare the enemy team. It's to save CC for Master Yi so he can't wreck your backline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another good example would be Nautilus, most CC in the game.
Yeah, that guy's just a giant boat of CC.
Well, he's a submarine suit.
Oh,
We don't know
okay.
where the boat is. It left him behind.
Oh my god. So it's kind of a strange thing to think about when your win condition is not actually to kill the enemy team, but it's more to deny the enemy team from winning almost, or the major threat on the enemy team from denying you from winning.
It
almost.
really is like refocusing your objectives from a like self-centered to a team-oriented perspective.
So one thing that we touched on earlier, and Deadlock brought this up about cleanse, there are some ways of crowd control removal, and that leads to an item that is very relevant for appealing discussion. And I think if we're talking about crowd control and removal and peel, Mikhail's Crucible.
Mikhail.
So what can somebody give me a rundown of what Mikhail's does?
So Seagale's Crucible is
Jesus.
kind of like QSS. It actually used to build out of QSS, but it removes debuffs and heals and CCs. It's normally built on a support, and it really is just that extra get out of jail free card for whoever needs it. It's especially now with Zeke's Harbinger, it gives you more choices, but if you're identifying your win condition is just to keep that person alive, this is the item you want. It's phenomenal. There's so many good support items now.
You know, one item that I actually like for peeling a lot, that I build on a lot of champs I play, is Randuin's. A lot of people don't look at it as a peeling item, but it can be used as that.
It's not too appealing.
Because when you activate it, it does an AoE 4-second slow to anyone hit by it. So sometimes just staying back, like say you're running away from a fight, as your carriers are running ahead of you, if you stay back a little and then as the enemies start to catch up, you just pop that Randuin's and are able to slow them up a bit. Sometimes that can be the difference between someone making it out and someone not. So,
I have a question about QSS. Would you ever use QSS aggressively, or should you save it for what you think that you're about to get done?
Aggressively?
Well, say you're chasing after somebody tries to fuck QSS.
We're having trouble hearing you, Deadlock. Could you lean in just a little bit?
Oh, sorry. So imagine you're chasing after the enemy team, and then they jinx trap you or something. You pop QSS and keep chasing after them aggressively, or should you save QSS for when you think that you're about to get dove on by somebody else, or you're about to get killed or whatever?
It really is. It's
situational.
Yeah, I mean, you can totally do that. I would never say that you could. That's something you should never do. If that kill makes you more safe than saving the QSS for when you engage next time, totally. Like having them in the death chamber means they can't do anything else to you for that time.
I mean, if you're chasing down a kill and QSSing jinx traps is the difference between you getting a free kill or not, like by all means use QSS. But just keep in mind that you are going to want it for a major threat if like a team fight's going to break out.
Right. I'm trying to like weigh whether the aggressive, like getting the kill is worth if you die later.
It's a little bit harder because it can be really easy then to overcommit. But if you really think that that's the difference, and you know it's just that 1 or 2 extra auto attacks you need, then yeah, I mean, I'd say at least like 6 out of 10 times in those situations, it would probably be worth it to use your QSS.
Maybe use the QSS, if you can catch a free kill. But like, if a team fight's about to break out and a Zed has been focusing you all game, maybe like be aware that you're gonna need that more importantly. But in general, it's not that bad.
Clean up after a team fight or something like that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Totally.
So taking this back to Peel again, real quick.
Sure, yeah.
So we talked about supports that can peel, and we said that other champions in the game can peel besides just supports. And I think one question I get a lot, and we even had a listener question recently about this, is how do I play X champion when behind? And a lot of times it's like a carry champion, and it's like...
Yeah, and a lot of it is just identifying who isn't behind on your enemy, on your team, and trying to help them out by peeling.
So somebody told me recently, it was like, oh, what do I do? I'm Diana when I'm behind. And I was like, well, you can't play a champion that needs to dive into the enemy team and be like super behind and expect to get a whole bunch of kills. Like, it's not going to work. But if you've got a fed Vayne on your team and the enemy team's trying to dive that Vayne, you can swap your priorities and focus on keeping that Vayne alive, and you still have a win condition in the game.
Yep.
And so, like, you can win games by playing, like, even carry champions or champions that are not traditionally thought of as peelers, and just recognizing who's the biggest threat on my team, who's the biggest threat on their team. Will I be more effective diving, or will I be more effective protecting the asset on my team? I feel like I learned the value. I always valued peeling, but I felt like I really learned it the most when they did that Ashe rework a few months ago, because everyone started playing Ashe, and like Ashe was doing so much damage, but nobody knew how to like position on her, and no one was peeling for her, and I just won games by keeping her alive.
Where's my arcane shift?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's plenty more we could talk about peeling, but I feel like we've covered a lot of the main points here. Does anyone want to have any last things, or should we just leave that to the listeners to write in?
I think we got it pretty well. I mean, just don't ever think that positioning, your poor positioning is an excuse for saying someone else is a bad peeler. And always look at ways that you can peel for yourself before relying on peel, especially in solo queue.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, that's good.
So for our listener question here, we actually have the listener here to ask the question.
I really
Who would have thought? It's changing the game, folks.
Yeah.
It's questionception. All right, so we have Deadlock Gray here, and I'm going to ask you once again to lean a little bit closer to your mic so we can all hear you. You were asking us a question earlier, and we thought it'd be great. Let's talk about it on the show. What were we talking about earlier?
Warding as an AD carry in mid to late game when you're trying to.
So, like, could you give like an example of like what particularly you're struggling with?
So, when I'm AD carry, I play Jinx. I like to be a glass cannon, and I forget about the glass part, and I just want to go blow things up. So,
wait, Jinxes who want to blow things up?
No.
Bad teams, Anyways, I like to take down my first turn. Obviously, then I move to mid turret and move to top turret, because turret gold is something that doesn't come back. You get it once, and then that threat is gone. Am I too quiet?
No,
just try and lean closer, but yeah.
So, what I'm trying to ask is, when turrets are down, but nobody on your team is warding, how do you safely ward jungle so that you're able to take the next turret without fear of game?
Sure. I think this is actually a really, really good question. And I think it's something that a lot of people struggle with. And I think in particular the point you call out with the towers going down is a really important thing to note. One of the classic things I see, especially bot laners in lower levels not recognizing, is that once they start losing turrets, they can't farm out as far as they used to. I I watch people make this mistake again and again, but once your outer bot turret falls, you can't just farm in that same location and expect to be free farming and be like, all right, time to work up to that last whisper and nobody's gonna hurt me. It's it's about playing around
Everyone will hurt you.
the vision that's available to you on the map, and that's comes from the minions, the towers, and the wards that your team does or does not have.
Yeah. But I mean, like, as far as trying to provide your own vision in those scenarios, like, I'm guessing, like, you're talking more like when you're ahead and you're trying to push up.
Right.
Yeah. I think some people will be like, they ward the river most of the game, then they get up to like pushing past the inner tower, and they look and see, oh, we've still just been warding in the river. It really is incremental warding. Every time you start to get another objective, place a ward a little bit deeper. So maybe if the first ward you placed in was right in the river next to the dragon, move it up so it's in the entrance to the river by blue buff, and then just keep moving it up. So the next one can be in the brush to the blue buff, and you keep moving up your vision. So you keep choking that point off from the enemy team, and you have all that area behind that is a lot more safe because they have to go through that area.
I like what Haber's saying, and I generally call this like step warding, where instead of, let's say you want to get vision around dragon soon, but you don't have vision in, let's say your blue side, and you don't have vision of the red side jungle, you can't just run past the entire red side jungle to ward around dragon because you're probably going to get wrecked if the enemy is there.
Yeah.
And you don't know whether or not they are there.
Part of it is just taking care of it before it becomes a problem. But I mean, on another note, especially like in bronze, like is it a problem for supports to be picking up Sightstone, or people not warding enough?
It's not uncommon that supports think that Sightstone is less than optional.
Yeah, and I mean, the convention right now is 80 carries take Scrying Orb, which is really nice item to supplement warding, not meant to replace it. So especially lower elos, I still really like to pick up and see people pick up the just warding, upgraded warding totem. You can still outward a decent support with that.
At the end of the day, you should be investing some money into vision regardless of what role you're in. And Haber's solution can work. But also, don't forget to buy pinks. Don't forget to buy green wards. Like, being able to step ward out, and I think Haber was starting to touch on this, but imagine you're playing Jinx, and you have, like, no vision around the mid lane. There might be a dragon fight soon, or there might be a baron fight soon, but a lot of action is going to happen around the mid lane, and you don't have towers, you don't have wards. What you need to do is think about what is the threats on the enemy team, like we talked about before, and think about where is that threat going to come from. So if you can play and you know that the enemy team has a Master Yi, and you know where Master Yi is, your odds of winning a team fight are like way higher than if you all of a sudden engage and then he comes out of the jungle and you get wrecked. So it's about saying, okay, we're going to start grouping around this objective. I want to place a ward here because this is one of the primary places they'll come from, and then I'll place a ward here. Instead of maybe dropping a ward in top lane where you just went to farm it for 2 seconds and now you're going to regroup around dragon.
It is really a lot of planning. Now, if you're in a situation where you don't have any wards and you're just wondering, okay, should I go through this part of the jungle to get to mid lane quick? You can always just try to check the brushes and stuff with your skill shots. A lot of abilities when they hit a person, even though
Jinx
you may not
W,
see it.
for instance, is also...
Well, that'll reveal them too.
Yeah.
But
That's huge.
it'll make a lot of abilities will make a different sound when they hit someone, so you can tell roughly where they are, even if you don't see it going off.
It's definitely what Haber just said is so true. Like, let's say there was just a fight in mid lane, and then the enemy teams pulled slightly ahead, and then they pulled off, and you don't have any vision of the Baron pit. Like, instead of just face checking into the Baron pit, you can use your W to try and like check to see if they're camping a bush to see if you're gonna check the Baron, and like that could be honestly a game deciding moment that you didn't make that mistake.
That's one of the reasons why I love playing Jinx, because every ability aside from her Q will give vision if it lands. So actually, I take that advantage. I throw it into a bush. If there's somebody there.
I would probably avoid throwing traps into a bush blindly.
Because I mean, with the time you're in range, they're going to be coming out anyways.
Yeah. There's the activation.
The way that I had kind of my problem with the whole vision thing that I had asked you about was I would just stare at the minimap until I've seen every single person on their team at some point on the map. That can take a long time, so I was just asking if there was a better way of going about it.
Sure.
Well, like part of it is learning to predict where people will be by identifying the enemy's win conditions and their objectives that they want to take. So, I mean, you may not always know where the jungler is or their top laner if you don't see everyone on the map. But if you're pushing by yourself at a pretty brisk pace, you can guess that, okay, I have about 10 to 15 seconds after they see me to anticipate them coming towards me. So you really kind of can get a radius around you that's safe and work with that. I mean, especially like, say, if Dragon's coming up in 30 seconds, or even in that minute and a half mark before Dragon, people are going to start putting wards around that area, so it's not going to become as safe. This Scuttlebug, people are always going to be trying to get that. So, if you can, I mean, the buddy system is always a good way to kind of keep yourself safe when you're trying to get in between areas.
I think enjoy the buddy system a lot, but, you know, half the time, after we get our first turret down, my team likes to hang out in our jungle and play hack. You know, I want to take turrets.
I mean, you do kind of have to err on the side of caution, especially when you're playing an AD carry. Because
I was about to say that. You hit the money.
You're a big part of that team. That's
imagine having this gigantic target on top of your head everywhere you walk on the minimap. And that's basically what you should be thinking when you play AD carry and you don't see members on this enemy team. So, like, it gets really hard in the ultra late game. And there's no easy solution for it, where it's like somebody needs to farm top. I'm in a position to farm top, but I don't know where any of them are, and if I push this out too far, I'm probably going to get ganked. And you need to play with that understanding in your head. So to what Haber's point, and the way you play around that, if you don't have vision of everywhere, is to learn to adapt and predict where people will be. If a dragon's coming up in a minute, you can imagine that people are going to start heading towards dragon in a general time frame. You should try and set up the lane such that maybe you farm top now, so that way you still have time to get to the dragon, and your team is still like ready to respond. You use pings, say drag coming up in 45 seconds, whatever you need to do. And yeah, you may not be able to tell, okay, I don't know where every single person on the map is, but a lot of times it's being able to predict what's the next logical objective for the enemy team to go for, or who's the biggest target on the map. If you overextend as an AD carry, you are making yourself a target. So you just don't do that.
And like saying, like, I want to go out and take turrets, that may be like the best thing for your team to do. But like we've said it a lot, you know, if you can't get your team to do it with you and you go alone, it ends up being the wrong decision, even if it's like logically the best thing for your team to do.
In that situation, just freeze the lane to your tower and just farm until people decide it's time to go?
Yeah,
It depends.
Safety is gonna be your number one priority.
If there's
So,
no
I mean-
objective to go for, then you can just kind of farm as safe as possible, and you don't have to take any risks in the late game
Mhm.
because the death timers are really really bad if you get caught.
Mhm.
But if there is an objective coming up, maybe you set up the wave such that you wave clear and you start a push in top and then head over to the dragon. So that way you've created pressure in more than one place and you're not going to be away from the team when the major team fight breaks out.
Right.
And you take the safest route possible because we're assuming you have little to no vision on the map when this is happening. Like, it's okay to miss a wave of CS if you don't die at the 38-minute mark.
Definitely.
Yeah, not dying is like your number one concern, period. And I can tell you as a jungler, if I can find an opportunity to kill an ADC, you damn well better believe I'm
As
going
a
to take
twisted
it.
as a twisted fate
even
made.
when
Oh,
even
man.
when Doom is playing Rengar, he will go.
Well, usually what I do is I throw myself into the enemy AD carry and I will feed them.
Yeah, it's like
But
80 carry, blah! And everyone
outside
else
of
is
that-
like, what the fuck, Doom?
So another reason why the blue trinket is sometimes valued on an ADC, aside from just saying, are they doing Baron? Let's check without face checking.
Mhm.
It can allow you to maybe farm one more wave in an area and then scout the area in order to tell if it's okay to go do it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why that trinket is very valuable on an AD carry, and
Yeah,
it's
you're not-
also useful in that fight where maybe you didn't have vision around Dragon, but you know the major part that they might pop out from, and then you can say, okay, Master Yi is probably going to flank from this position. Let me check. Okay, no, we're good. I can position here.
Yeah, a big part about the blue trinket is taking away that little patch of vision in, say, like a bush that you didn't have time to ward before the team fight started. So that part is no longer a viable option for them to dive in and out of your vision and crowd control.
I'd love to be able to use blue trinket more, but
Mhm.
I feel like in my elo, wards is so almost non-existent.
Sure, like
game.
I don't think you can really go wrong taking the yellow trinket.
no.
I always have to upgrade my yellow at level 9 and just become
Mhm.
a ward bot while doing tons of damage, so.
I think the mistake that a lot of AD carriers make, and we've talked a little bit about this, is it's not just not buying the wards at the level and saying we don't have enough vision, but it's about recognizing where you need to be at a given time, and some of that has to do with deciding whether or not you farm X wave in bot lane or you stay with the team. In general, whatever's going to keep you alive is the higher priority. And you need to be able to predict where the enemy team is going to go next to decide, okay, I can farm this wave and then get back to the team, or, oh, I need to be with the team right now. It's okay if I miss one or two waves. Like, this is going to be important.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like on a jungler. A lot of people expect a jungler to take the red trinket most of the time. At least like upgrading to it, but don't ever be afraid, no matter what role you're playing, to get a yellow trinket if you guys just need more wards and your team just isn't cutting it ward wise. Don't BM people, don't get down on them about it and be like, hey dude, you need to ward more, but encourage warding. Do it from the aspect of,
Like, point
hey,
out
I'm gonna
when
go
good
ward
things
to
happen
this
because you warded.
Yeah. And then say, like, hey, say you keep watching your minimap and say you see an enemy pop up on your minimap and it's because you saw him in a ward. Ping the hell out of that site the instant that you see them pop up on your vision. And then it's going to let them, like, your teammates know that, oh, hey, look, him, like, placing that ward helped. And even if it just helps them with what helps you in the aspect of, hey, maybe when that ward goes down, that teammate will go replace it for you. Then that allows you to do what like Steve was saying and step ward then, because now they are awarding that for you because they saw how effective having that ward there was. Now you can take that extra step and be like, hey, and don't be afraid too to ping your sport and just be like, hey, come with me here. I'm going to ward here. And, just be encouraging about it, be positive about it. Always have that positive mindset of, hey, I'm trying to help us all. So,
yeah.
I'd like to keep the positive asset or mindset, but sometimes when people are flaming, I go to mute them. I don't want to be one of them, so I mute them all.
That's completely fine.
I absolutely agree.
Pings are your friend. All you need are pings.
Unfortunately, we're gonna have to leave it there for now. We're getting pretty close to our time here, so I think it's all time for us now to go to Mars to get some water for Asderition, so he can be back on the show next week.
Yes. Yeah, hopefully. If
he didn't die in a fire.
If you go to iscaliforniaonfire.com, you'll know whether it's on fire or not. Unfortunately, it usually is. Can you check that? Give us the update.
I can. Yes, it is on fire.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That explains it.
So we have confirmed that it is on fire. We're assuming that Asderition's on fire, and that's why he's not here. So God rest his soul, and maybe his ghost will be back next week.
Who knows?
I probably will not be here the next couple weeks. Expecting a new little addition to the family, so I'm gonna take a little time off while
little Doom Spikinator.
Yes, while introducing a little Doom, and there's gonna be a new Doom after that replacing me. So
true. We actually have right now a contest to win 10 RP if you can come up with a good name for Doom's kid. Right
there we go.
We talked about this before, didn't we?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. Yeah.
Hop on Twitter, hop on the emails. Tell me what I should be naming my next child. You cannot use some.
I don't know if we could give this to. Can we get $10 RP cards for EU people, or can we only get it for NA?
No, we can get it for EU now because there's a way to gift it. There's a different way to gift it now. So yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, before we just keep talking complete nonsense, I'm gonna shut us up here. We've had a blast here tonight. Thank you for Deadlock for stopping by, and thanks for your contribution to the network. We'll see you guys next week here. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Deadlock, I hope that your audio recorder thing is as legendary as you say.
Oh yeah, it's way better than what I've had to do with laptop. Don't worry about it.
Okay, because we could hear you decently fine when you leaned in, but when you were sitting back in your chair, it was a struggle.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Oh no worries.
That's fine.
It happens. We're fortunate enough that because of people supporting the network, that we have these nice mics. So
you guys.
No, it's really unfortunate too because right after the charity stream, my graphics card on my PC that I built just burnt. It caught fire.
Oh Jesus!
Nice.
Yeah, that was a 980 Ti, and I'm choked.
Yikes.
Here, let me give all this money to charity, and now my computer catches on fire. It's great.
Oh boy.
I have a weird issue, hence the reason I don't have a webcam, where I got a new computer, it's great, it's fantastic, but it's just something's going on with Skype, and it just does not like this operating system or something. It's just not cooperating. I don't know. I'll find a solution next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut the stream here, guys. So we'll
Thanks
be
for
back
joining
on.
us.
Yeah, we'll be back on next week. Thanks.